The final 7 spots have been locked up in Southwest Florida. Anthony Herron is excited as the quarterfinalists will make their way on the path to Naples for the 2016 FBU National Championship. It's our final recap of the opening 3 rounds of play. Neil Sika, as aforementioned, Anthony Herron is here. We're ready to have some fun. We saw some new faces over the last couple of days make some headway, but some traditional powers also stepping into the forefront today.
As much as anything, Neil, I've been impressed with the variety we've seen in the way these teams have attacked each other. The ground attacks have been great, and the way they've passed the football, even in some adverse weather conditions. For this age level, 6th, 7th, and 8th overall, I couldn't be more impressed. But then, of course, for me, the old defensive lineman, the defense, with some of these shutouts that have taken place, very happy to see that taking place also.
2 6th grade teams have sewn up spots, 3 7th grade teams, and 2 8th grade teams to tell you about. We're going to start with the 6th graders in the Northeast Regional. And Pops, one of his top picks was those Maryland 6th graders. And they had a battle on their hands with Charlotte in Fort Mill, South Carolina. But they prevail 16-14. It was 2-0 for much of the first quarter, and the safety ends up being the difference in the football game.
And one of those defenses I referenced there in Maryland, they shut out Northern New Jersey in the first round. Another very strong defensive effort here for Maryland, able to hold on defensively and force Charlotte to, essentially go home after this. And Charlotte's a team that gave up 7 total points prior to this, so 2 teams that had played very strong defense coming into this one.
Many of the games to finish on this Monday were out west. In Placer Valley, California, the 6th graders from Bay Area Metro all over San Diego, 34-8. Pops had them to the tune of his number 2 pick.
I've been really impressed with Bay Area Metro's offense overall. They've been very consistent, sort of a multi-dimensional attack they have, and they've been averaging just over 33 points a game coming in. Now 34 being on the board here against San Diego. So sending San Diego home, Bay Area Metro on their way on the path to Naples.
All right, Dave, we're going to fly back 3 time zones to the Northeast Regional and the 7th grade scores as 3 teams were looking to find their way down to Naples. In the Northeast, Maryland pops his number 1 pick in a tight one against his 2 pick, Indiana, 8-6 in Fort Mill, South Carolina. It's important to have a quarterback with poise, and Wyatt Hagan is a star in the making. It a very strong performance in this game.
Extremely efficient throughout. I mean, not a game where Maryland's offense put up many points, but some of the decision-making by Wyatt Hagan ended up playing itself out in spades for Maryland overall, holding Indiana defensively to 6 points as well. And this is an Indiana offense that had struggled throughout. So overall, when you view the way this game played out, the decision-making by Hagan at quarterback is what made the difference.
All right, let's rack up those flyer miles and head back out to the west. In Sacramento, it was Seattle 24, SoCal 21. Very interesting here because Seattle wins in double overtime, a thrilling game. A round later, last year, as 6th graders, to advance to the national semifinals, they won in 2 overtimes over Orange County. They beat a California team again in 2 OTs to get to Naples this year. So Seattle, who maybe was disrespected a little bit as 6th graders by Pops last year, they were his number 1 pick and they come through.
SoCal dominated LA Central in the first round. Hard-fought defeat here. The very first team that's even been able to test Seattle so far. And like you mentioned, Pops high on Seattle this year, mainly because of their very experienced roster they've had. I believe that's part of the reason they were able to outlast SoCal in this game. You've got a number of young men who've been playing together for some time.
Just about 15 minutes away in Placer Valley, California, it was Sacramento 8, San Diego 7. Love to see the competition being so close with spots to Naples on the line. Sacramento was Pops' 2 pick in the 7th grade West. There was no scoring in the second half. That touchdown from Sacramento on the 2-point conversion came at the end of the first.
Missed opportunities in the second half for San Diego in that game, and so little moments like that, late in the first half by Sacramento, to be able to make that play at the end of the half, that's what separates the good teams from the great teams coming up. You even hear the New England Patriots, the way that gets talked about with Bill Belichick. Making those plays late in the first half, that's what separates you in football.
You got to love that 4 of those 5 games we just discussed finished a touchdown or fewer in the terms of the decision.
All these tightly contested matchups overall, and that's what it should be at this point once we get down this path to Naples. Overall, you want some of the best teams in the country. They've been matching up on the field. That's why we see the games getting closer and closer.
The question is, could the 8th grade hold serve? We're going to give you those 8th grade scores right after this.
You can ask any coach, player, or fan. Before the beaches, the golf courses, the sunsets, Florida is known for football. But in Naples, Marco Island, you get them all. With the facilities and accommodations perfect for your off-season training, tournament, or event. Florida's Paradise Coast is Florida's sports paradise.
The best youth football players in the country are at youth1.com. Youth1.com has the Elite 101 report of the nation's top 101 players, the Freshman 450, rankings, recaps, and news for football and all youth sports. And now anyone can create an athlete profile and share their stats, videos, and skills with the world. Whether you want to be the best or see the best, go to youth1.com, celebrating the best of youth sports.
The Path to Naples is brought to you by the Naples, Marco Island, and Everglades Convention and Visitors Bureau. Also by Battle Sports Science and Youth One.
The final two teams to head into the quarterfinals on the Path to Naples come from 8th grade tonight. You'll see Anthony Herron back in our Jersey City studios. We're going to start in the Northeast Regional, Anthony, and Maryland, who was Pop's #1 pick. They thrashed Southern New Jersey 55-20. They pull away late in this game. Big one from Antoine Littleton, the running back who's been a star the last couple of years. He had 2 touchdowns. Zion Larkins reeling in a catch for a score. Gary Rosemont was great on special teams as Maryland looks the part.
Impressive all-around effort from Maryland, putting 55 points on the board, but not just the offense and defense. As you referenced there by Gary Rosemont, you saw the special team, that dynamo sort of attitude there for Maryland, played itself out on that side of the ball also. And Southern New Jersey, they were able to hang in there for a little bit and had some big plays in the passing game, but overall Maryland pulled away.
That game was in Newport, Rhode Island. Out to the west we go, final game of the day in Placer Valley, California. Colorado. Earlier editions of Colorado, about 3 or 4 years ago, in fact, the 2012 8th grade team made the national championship. New structure out there, but similar results this season. 35-0 over San Diego. They were Pop's sleeper pick. They're looking very solid, and San Diego, no slouch with the way they had played in the previous games.
When you look at what Colorado's been able to do from an execution standpoint, Noah Schmidt at running back putting points on the board, Gavin Sawchuk at wide receiver putting points on the board, but both players very versatile, very explosive, some deep speed, the ability to make the big play, but then you put a shutout on the board defensively from Colorado. That impresses me as much as anything because San Diego hadn't given up a point from their defense coming into tonight's contest. Overall, very impressive that Colorado was able to dominate a team that looked very talented.
So 8 teams across all 3 grade levels make their way to the quarterfinals down in Southwest Florida and the Paradise Coast. Now, we have a championship draw on Facebook Live that's coming your way tomorrow, Tuesday, December 6th, which is going to be exciting because normally you have your predetermined matchups in the past when the teams have met up in the Final Four. But no longer will you see South perhaps play the Northeast Regional. You could see the South play the West. It's going to be exciting to see who pairs up against who.
I've constantly had people ask me about this college football playoff picture now that those Final Four teams have been chosen. This is going to be even more fun than that because when you think about the fact that there's going to be names and these orbs in a bit of a bundle, and we're going to draw them all out and try to determine who's going to play in these matchups, and it could be anyone. And overall, we've seen some teams that are sort of the old pillars of this FBU National Championship that are in it, but now some new faces being a part of the fray as well. It's going to be very exciting.
Well, Maryland, Seattle, all 3 grade levels are represented down in Naples, and the faces like South Dakota and Rhode Island, who we haven't seen before. And for those teams, it's one thing coming to a regional site, winning that, but the big lights and the marquee that waits for this destination trip and journey, which is every young athlete's dream as a football player. That'll be exciting to see for the first time, too.
It will. It makes me sort of harken back to my first bowl trip in college. Because I was too big to play youth football, so at this age, I had no opportunity to get an experience like these kids are going to get on their path to Naples. But overall, you think about stepping on the field with these different faces that you've seen in the huddle over and over again. It's going to be key for these coaches overall to try and keep their team on some sort of schedule because I'm telling you, once they get down there to Naples, I've been there, you've been there a number of different times, their eyes are going to pop.
Yes, indeed. And of course, we're going to have championship preview shows once the draw occurs on Facebook Live. Alan Poppadines, the National Scouting Director for Youth1.com, is going to join us as the matchups will be set, and we'll tell you about who's got the best chance of taking home the trophy for the 2016 FBU National Championship. A lot of fun over these 3 rounds, but looking forward to the draw tomorrow.
No doubt about it. The draw tomorrow is going to be great right there on Facebook Live, and we will let everyone know how it's going to go down once they get to Naples.
And of course, FBUNC.com, you can review all 3 rounds so far, and the YouTube page FBUNC. Eric Richards, the National Scouting Director for the U.S. Army All-American Bowl, will help us conduct that championship draw. He's Anthony Herron. I'm Neil Sika. We've had a blast so far on the path to Naples. Thanks for watching, everyone. Good night.